At UFC 323, the final ESPN-era pay-per-view, Petr Yan reclaimed the UFC bantamweight crown with a stellar performance. Merab Dvalishvili's chase for a record fourth title defense in a single year ended as Yan flipped the script on their first encounter and schooled him. Dvalishvili entered with nuclear-level hype. A 14-fight tear featuring wins over Corey Sandhagen, Sean O'Malley twice, Henry Cejudo, and Yan himself. The Georgian champ hadn't just beaten all comers, he'd bulldozed them. The narrative was that another Merab win over Yan was inevitable, but the former champ wasn't buying it. Dvalishvili started fast, but Yan stunned him early and forced some frantic wrestling, with Yan landing his own takedowns and a near-viral spike. The Russian then battered Merab before landing a brutal liver kick, all while stuffing takedowns as the exhausted champion failed to find a finish. "I tried to give all an entertaining fight, and I lost today," said the ex-champ during his post-fight interview. "It was a bad game today. Congratulations to him, but I want a rematch. I want to run it back." He has good reason to ask. Dvalishvili was chasing history as the first fighter to defend a UFC title 4 times in one calendar year, the type of resume that usually guarantees an instant rematch. But Yan wasn't sold on giving it immediately, especially considering how hard his own road back to the title was. "I think Merab should get the boys, get into the jacuzzi, and then we'll see," Yan joked to the post-fight presser. "For me to get the opportunity to fight for the belt again, UFC made me go 3 more fights before I was able to get into the contender position again." If not Merab for his first defense, the obvious option is Sean O'Malley. Sugar beat Yan via a contentious split decision in 2022, then parlayed that victory into a title win over Merab's teammate Aljamain Sterling. A rematch with O'Malley would give Yan a shot at revenge, big pay-per-view cash, and a marquee name. Plus, O'Malley, who was coming off back-to-back losses to Merab, was impressed. "Petr Yan looks like a f***ing assassin," said O'Malley in awe. "Merab getting slammed on his head might be my new screensaver." In the co-main of UFC 323, one of the most anticipated flyweight title fights in years ended before it started. Joshua Van became champion when Alexandre Pantoja suffered a gruesome arm injury while bracing during a takedown, just 26 seconds into the fight. Almost immediately, Van caught a Pantoja kick and went for a takedown. As Pantoja posted, his arm popped. The replays showed an unmistakable snap, and Van was declared the new champ. "I knew I was going to win this fight, but I didn't want the fight to end that way for sure," said Van with his new belt. "As soon as he's recovered, I want to run it back because I respect him so much. He's one of the greatest of all time, and things like that. So I do want to run it back with him." With Pantoja likely to be sidelined for quite some time, the former 2-time champ Brandon Moreno looked set for another championship bid. That was until Tatsuro Taira stunned the UFC 323 crowd with a second-round TKO that nearly everyone saw as an early stoppage. Everyone except Taira, that is. Fight of the night was awarded to Yan and Dvalishvili's blood and sweat repeats. Performance bonuses went to Manuel Torres and Ivo Baranevski for their violent first-round finishes. In other UFC news, former light heavyweight champion Jamahal Hill found himself in yet another out-of-cage blow-up, this time at the UFC 323 meet and greet. It's nothing unusual for Hill, except this time, the footage shows him threatening former strawweight champion and UFC Hall of Famer Joanna Jędrzejczyk backstage, and Joanna wasn't taking it. With security holding Joanna back, Hill barked, "I'll knock you the f*** out. If you touch my girl, I'm gonna knock you the f*** out." But Joanna didn't back down an inch. What caused the spark remains unclear. Hill claims that Jędrzejczyk was aggressive toward Hill and his partner, except his partner wasn't even present. From there, Joanna had to be restrained. "She's threatened me, she's threatened my girl," said Hill a few days later. "So now I don't give a f*** about why you're mad. I don't care. Whatever reason why you're mad, I don't care. It is what it is, and you sound f***." Classy words from a guy who admitted to having Joanna reject his advances at a previous event. In response to the incident, Joanna released a written statement that she also read aloud on Instagram in which she denied starting anything. But when somebody uses my name falsely without any basis in truth, I will always stand up for myself, and for that, I do not deserve to be threatened. You tell him, champ. To the middleweight division, new king Khamzat Chimaev is already eyeing off another kingdom. After mauling Dricus du Plessis at UFC 319 for the belt, he wants one defense post-2026 Ramadan, then a move up. I want for sure one more fight, and then I'm going to go one more weight class up, declared Chimaev. One more fight, and I move up next fight. Chimaev has been actively campaigning for a shot at the light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira, though Chimaev insists Poatan and the UFC want no parts of it. Pereira, fresh off reclaiming his light heavyweight belt, seems focused on a move up himself, but to heavyweight, belt or no belt. He's publicly angled for a bout with the former light heavy and heavyweight champion Jon Jones at the White House. Jones retired in June after freezing the heavyweight division for a year and a half, but now he's also shown interest in the White House event. On the topic of the White House card though, US President Donald Trump is hyping up that particular event like it's WrestleMania. When asked what he would like to see for America 250 when the United States celebrates 250 years of independence this July 4th, Trump said, "It's a big deal. The UFC's going to be June 14 next year. The great Dana White is building an arena. They're going to have 8 or 9 championship fights, the biggest fights they've ever had. Everyone's a championship fight, and everyone's a legendary type of fight." This is, of course, the same man who once claimed Mexico would build his wall and that he'd won Michigan's Man of the Year. So maybe keep a mountain-sized grain of salt on standby. The WBC have stripped Terence Crawford of his super middleweight title, claiming the undefeated star hasn't paid their mandatory sanctioning fees. And judging by Crawford's scorched earth response on social media, he's not happy. "Who the f*** do you think I am? Boy, you better slap yourself. I ain't paying your ass. F*** you talking about?" asked Bud. "Pay you $3,000? What makes you better than any of the other sanctioning bodies?" Crawford earned his third undisputed title with a dominant decision victory over Canelo Alvarez in September of this year. The WBC argues that it lowered its usual 3% charge to 0.6%, meaning Bud owes them $300,000 from his reported $50 million purse. In response, the champ says he paid each of the sanctioning bodies an agreed upon set fee, so the WBC can go jump. You, the WBC, think you're better than everyone, right? You've got the green belt, which don't mean shit, stated Bud. The real belt is the ring belt, which is free, motherfucker. What are you talking about? To the heavyweights. Tyson Fury just dropped his biggest hint yet of another comeback. The Gypsy King retired 11 months ago, for maybe the 4th or 5th time, but his latest social media posts make yet another bout face feel inevitable. "The king must return to his throne," misspelled Fury. "There is a long and lonely road that only I can walk on, but after the long and hard battles awaits immortality. God's fighting one-man army. The battle was won over 2,000 years ago by a man who goes by the name of Yeshua, which is the Hebrew word for Jesus. In his holy name, I march forward 2026. Fury stunned the world when he beat Vladimir Klitschko a decade ago to win the lineal championship and 3 of the 4 major belts, only to disappear for 3 years due to struggles with mental health and substance abuse. His eventual comeback saw him blast through a conga line of journeymen before beating Deontay Wilder twice in their trilogy to claim the WBC belt, the one major strap he'd never held. After the Wilder series, Fury threatened retirement, retired, unretired, and renegotiated with himself on an almost monthly basis, citing passion, money, and boredom, depending on the weather. He finally stepped away after back-to-back losses to Alexander Usyk for the undisputed championship, the second loss of which came 1 year ago, and he was supposedly done for good. supposedly. Now his cryptic messages suggest a plan forming. Most likely, a trilogy bout with Usyk for one last shot at heavyweight immortality. Or the long-awaited all-British showdown with Anthony Joshua. There'd be no belts on the line against AJ, but the money, spectacle and national fervour would be more than enough to lure the Gypsy King out for one last crusade.
Thanks for watching, and remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.